Welcome back to Women's Wealth, The Middle Way, the show that answers your questions about work, money, and family. My name is Susan McGlory Michael, and I am the CEO and founder of Glen Eagle, a wealth management firm in New Jersey.
My name is Carol Ann Fernandez, and I'm the COO of Glen Eagle. Our guest today is Peipei Zhou, creator, founder, and the voice behind Bao Bao Learns Chinese, an interactive soundbook for children, their parents, and caregivers. She believes that children everywhere can learn Mandarin Chinese. Born and raised in Shanghai, she currently lives in Brooklyn, New York. Peipei is a mom, wife, daughter, board member, and full-time employee at Facebook. Wow, welcome, Peipei.
Thanks so much, Carol Ann. I really appreciate you inviting me onto your podcast.
Well, we're very excited to have you. And I guess to start out, why don't you let our listeners know what inspired you to create Bao Bao Learns Chinese?
Yeah, wonderful. So I created a series of books. They're essentially press and play books to teach kids Mandarin Chinese 2.5 years ago when I first became a new mom to my son, Miles Seville. And what I realized is that I really wanted him to learn my native tongue, which is Chinese, and English at the same time. But there weren't a lot of good resources and good books out there to teach him that. And I didn't want to put a screen in front of his little teeny tiny face just yet. So I thought there's a gap out there. There's nothing like this in America. And by the way, it's actually pretty popular in Asia. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to fill the hole and fill the gap. I'm going to create a product that I really want to see for my son to use, but also for other babies and other children to learn Mandarin. And that was 2.5 years ago. And now we're about to launch 7 different books this year to really expand the line. So Bao Bao Learns Chinese is only the Mandarin sort of family of the books. We're rounded out with a 3rd book there, but we're also going to do Spanish, 3 books under Spanish and 3 books under English. So altogether, we already have the samples coming from the manufacturer for Spanish version. So it's actually Coco Learns Spanish. It's a Chihuahua/Corgi dog. Super cute, super awesome. And then the last line will just be more around English, which is learning songs, etc. But the idea is very simple. And the through line basically is that we have a very precious few years in babies, in newborns, sort of trajectory to help them acquire a language without accents. And it's such a short window. And my firm believes that babies everywhere can learn multiple languages. And we see this happening a lot in Europe where folks speak multiple languages, in Asia, etc. But I think in America, there's a huge need and thirst for language acquisition. And what better way to do it than starting them young and doing it via a modality that is really great for babies and kids, which is press and play. You know, they get that control, they get that tactile sort of nature of things, and they get to see the book. And of course, with the caretakers looking at the book, looking at the pronunciation guides, and be able to sing it along with their babies. Like, how beautiful is that? I certainly derive a lot of enjoyment.
As someone who has an 11-month-old whose husband family speaks Spanish, I will definitely be checking out these books.
I love that.
I'm trying to learn Spanish with her right now.
Amazing. That's so wonderful.
Well, I mean, this sounds amazing, obviously, and it's great that you're doing this, but this is obviously not your full-time job. And with such a demanding schedule, how have you found the time to create such an amazing project?
It's funny. I don't have, and just I'm being very honest with your audience and with you, is that I don't have a great work-life balance. It's definitely work-life integration, particularly now with COVID. I do find myself working around the clock quite a bit. But, you know, this is my passion project. This is how I feel like I can flex my CEO muscle. And this is how I feel I can best deliver my value and my legacy to the world. So needless to say, because it's such a passion, I just do it naturally. I find the time. So oftentimes you will see, and you can ask my husband about this, like 9 to sort of midnight is when I work on Bao Bao, whether it's talking with my manufacturer in China, you know, talking with a shipper, with logistics, or working with my designer in Armenia, my musicians in Brooklyn, New York. Like, I feel like I'm answering people's questions when they come in on Amazon, or I'm running like the profit margin analysis on the back end. So I love, in a way, Facebook. That's my day job. I run a social good program there. essentially running another startup that's a nonprofit startup for about the past 2.5 years, created programs from the ground up. I feel like my true nature is as a builder. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I've been in the corporate world for about 20 years now, and I love what I do at Facebook. It's an environment that I thrive, I enjoy in, fast-moving pace, allows me to help people and underserved job seekers as well as small businesses through my program. But ultimately, when I think about my legacy and when I think about what is the one thing, the unique value prop that I can deliver to the world, I think it's actually through Bao Bao learns Chinese and Coco learns Spanish and soon to Astro learns English. Like all of that will come about by the end of the year. And I'm just super thrilled to be sharing this with moms around the world. Our books have been picked up in 45 countries. We've sold numerous copies. I've gotten a lot of good accolades coming from parents and caretakers. And that is sort of my turbo engine and rocket ship, the fuel in my rocket ship, working really late night. But to me, it's I don't know. I'm in flow when I'm working on Bao Bao and Coco. I don't feel it's a chore. I love working on it. But you just got to find the time, whether it's the early mornings or late night, and be able to balance with the other aspects and responsibilities of your life.
Yeah, and I think there are many listeners, including myself, who it's refreshing to hear you be so honest, because I think all of us do realize it pretty quickly. It's a life-work integration more than a balance when you're trying to work full-time and have kids and then doing side projects like you are. Have you ever had any struggles or doubts while you were building Bao Bao? Times where you said, maybe I can't do this, or this one's not going to get published, or anything like that?
Yeah, of course, all the time. I'll be lying if I said I didn't. Honestly, selling on Amazon is a new skill for me. But what isn't new, though, which is a lot of aspects of running this company, I've been crafting for the past 20 years, whether it's marketing, selling, whether it's distribution, whether it's online marketing, digital marketing, social media, like that, I have it down. But what was really new to me was e-commerce and selling on this really big behemoth of a platform called Amazon FBA, stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. And that whole publishing side is also very new. So how do I get a product from an idea to execution to go-to-market strategy? Like all of that, I had to figure out on my own. And the best companion and resource and the learning platform that I had was YouTube. So like for about good, 3 months, I was listening, every time I'm brushing my teeth, I'm listening to a FBA guru on, about Amazon on YouTube, talking about how to set up their listings, how to contact their manufacturers on Alibaba, how to create shipment notices in the platform, etc. So all of that, I bring it up to say it is a teachable skill set. It is something that you can self-teach and self-learn at your own pace. Rome wasn't building one day, and I certainly had baby steps when it comes to learning, and I had many failures. Like my listing was pulled one day, or people gave me bad reviews, or it was targeted by Chinese manufacturers, or one day, my shipment went into LA and saying that it's a counterfeit, or it's like drug related, or I'm like, what's happening, right? But the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur is that we are constant problem solvers, right? So we are here every day. That's a new challenge, a new problem. But it's really exciting for me to be able to say, like, no one in the world has done this before. I know my skill set. I know what I'm good at, what I'm not so good at. I'm going to outsource the things I'm not good at and focus on the things I'm really good at. And then be able to, tackle the problems like roadblock by roadblock. And I feel for your audience, those budding entrepreneurs or those entrepreneurs who are doing it right now, it's not news to you guys that with entrepreneurs and what people don't talk about is the 99% that fail. And at the core of it, like, we're survivors. I feel like the ones that are doing it now are people who are able to be resilient, who are able to pivot fast and quickly, who are able to take responsibilities when we fail. But ultimately, the ones who survive, the ones who are the standing businesses that you see around and they're growing.
Yeah, no, that's great. I feel almost silly asking you this last question because you've given so much advice already, but we'd love to end our podcast by always asking our participants, what advice would you give to maybe the mom who's listening, who's working full time, busy with kids, and considering following their dreams or doing their passion? What's some advice you might give to them to kind of encourage them to follow that?
Yeah, that's That's a great question. I think for me, and this is something I work on every day, so I don't have it figured out, but I'm going to give this as an advice. I think it's a little bit more self-love and self-forgiveness. It is okay that you don't have the next big great idea cooked up yet. I did Bao Bao Learns Chinese when I was 39. Now I'm 41. So it's like, it's okay if you don't know the next great American novel, like in your head just yet. Like, I'm a firm believer there's an age and time for everything. I think what's important is you giving yourself some grace and self-love. I feel a lot of women have wearing so many hats, and it's very taxing as is already. So the more self-love you can shift to yourself, the better. So for me, I'm actively working on how do I quiet my mind a little bit more. I get about 200 emails on a daily basis on Facebook. I get manufacturing contacting me at 1 a.m., right? Like, I get pinged left and right. I have a 3-year-old. I have an amazing husband I want to cultivate a relationship with. I have friends that I want to keep in touch with, right? So there's a lot of demand on my time. I think one of the things I'm working on is simply by saying, like, all right, Peipei, like, what do you need? Like, check in with myself, like, how do I feel loved and cared for at this moment? So I'm not frazzled. So I'm not talking 500 miles an hour. So I don't feel this constant drone of anxiety in the background, right? So it's a real challenge. It's a real thing that every one of us faces right now. So I think just be kinder to yourself, like just knowing like money will come, they will go, like ideas will come, entrepreneurs, empires will come and they will go, like, and that's okay. No matter where you are, get in touch with yourself and knowing that you're doing the best you can, and it's okay. No matter where you are, it's good enough. Being an entrepreneur is just another hat, and you will come and you will go. I will be proud of this, and someday maybe I will sell it. Someday maybe it's a legacy, product that my children are going to take on. But it really is temporary in the wrong scheme of things. Try to quiet your mind. Try to really own yourself, and knowing what you need is so important. And it's a lifelong journey. Every day we get to practice and an opportunity to do it better the next day. And yeah, so I'm grateful for this opportunity to be alive at this time, to be alive right now where things are so democratized that, technology is at your fingertips, that if I have an idea, I can make it happen. And so it's such a thrilling time. And I think what we need to do and to operate on as women and as human beings is to be more centered, right? And to be more grounded and to be knowing thyself a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that advice is just so important to hear. No matter how often it's told to us, I think especially as women, it's just such a great reminder. Peipei, we can't thank you enough. I was shaking my head in agreement many times during this podcast, and I know our listeners really appreciated you giving your time when you do have so much going on, just to, remind them of how important it is to trust themselves and just enjoy the moment. So thank you so much.
Anytime. Thank you so much for your audience for listening to me. I really appreciate you all.
Thanks for tuning into today's episode of Women's Wealth, The Middle Way. Make sure to subscribe to us and leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, or your favorite podcast app. Join us for new episodes every other Wednesday. See you in 2 weeks.